Hello everybody, welcome to How to Play Imperial Struggle Part 3. Today we'll focus purely on a war turn and resolution of this aspect. Before jumping into the actual game, let me introduce myself. My name is Michael. I'm running the Boardgames Chronicle blog. I have pretty vast collection of Imperial Struggle related articles on this site, so should you be interested in looking into them, I strongly encourage you after this video. Okay, to the game. The tools which I will be using today are similar as in part 1 and part 2, so the Imperial Struggle Player Aid, very nicely done and compiled extract from the rulebook. This will be thing which I strongly recommend to you to get, especially during your first game. It guides you very nicely through the whole war turn. The second very important tool is the Vassal module for Imperial Struggle. The link to the player aid and also the link to this Vassal module will be below this video. I will be using the save which was utilized during the part 1 and part 2 presentation. I did some tweaks in the actual setup on the map, so it will be more interesting to you, and we'll be able to present a lot of aspects of the war turn. First of all, about wars during this game. Let me just jump here. So here we have a game turn track. In essence, you would have 4 wars: War of Spanish Succession, War of Austrian Succession, 7 Years' Wars, and very climatic and usually a game changer American War of Independence. Between those wars you would have a couple of peace turns. There is only one part of the game between war 1 and 2 where you have 2 peace turns. Usually it will be 1 peace turn, 1 war, 1 peace turn, 1 war, that way. Okay, so how to resolve a war turn? First of all, we need to open the war chart. So here in the Vassal module you have all 4 wars, and you have theaters during the war. In the first war, War of the Spanish Succession, you have 4 theaters. So Central Europe, Spain, Queen Anne's War, and Jacobite Rebellion. Each of those is resolved separately, step by step, fully before you move to the next one, because they can actually have impact one on another, and your decisions could be influenced. In essence, war turn and resolving the wars is always a little uncertain, and to be quite honest, this is my favorite aspect of this game. You plan your war, you invest in countries because you have bonus strength for them, you invest into fleets and forts, but then the war tiles, the basic war tiles and the bonus war tiles actually can devastate all your plans, so it is kind of an exciting element. Okay, so as you know, everybody at the beginning of a turn draws 1 bonus war tile, 1 basic war tile, so you can see those basics here in the middle of each country's forces for each theater, and then you can also buy for 2 military points the bonus war tiles. Sometimes even they can also bring them to you. So in this war we have not so many, but also not so few bonus war tiles. Also, this is for the purpose of presentation. So let's start resolving the war. We go theater by theater. First of all, we of course show the war tiles because they are all placed hidden. So your opponent doesn't know what you have. You can of course always check yours. First, we reveal war tiles. Then the second step, we apply war tile effects. As you can see on some of the war tiles, you have actually not only the number but also the action. Let me zoom in so you can better see it. Okay, and briefly about those actions. First of all, death. Opposing player has to incur 1 death. Easy, simple. Then we have damaged fort or remove fleet. So you damage an opposing fort or remove opposing squadron to navy box in this theater. It's important in this theater, and the theater name and the region is here. The third one is possibility to unflag. Unflag one opposing and without conflict marker. This is important. Market or political space in this theater. You cannot touch the territories. We'll be talking about territories in a moment with this action. So this is not working well, and you cannot actually unflag forts. Forts can be only damaged by this action. So let's start applying the results. Who applies first the results? The side which is closer to the automatic victory. And at this moment in time, the side which is closer to automatic victory is Britain. So Britain will first unflag. What shall we unflag? We'll most probably unflag something which gives bonus to the France and which costs a lot. So I propose we unflag Bavaria. It's 3 diplomatic points, political space. So we remove flag. France has a possibility to first of all incur debt on British. So British will get 1 debt. And also remove squadron or damage force. You cannot damage fort in Europe because there are no forts in Europe, but you can actually remove this squadron to the navy box. And now we need to calculate the strength. I will use Notepad for this. It's always good to have something handy to help you with it. So the war tiles. We have 2, 3, 4 for France and -1 for Britain. Then the bonus strength, Austria. Austria will go to Britain, and let me elaborate a little on this. Only the alliance spaces will give the bonus strength during the war, not the prestige ones. The prestige ones are those with the green border. The alliance spaces are the ones with the dots. And the dots actually tell you in which war this alliance space adds the strength, not the amount of strength. It doesn't mean 1, 2, 1, 3, 4 strength, but in which war. The most universal are the German states. They actually give strength in War of Spanish Succession, Austrian Succession, 7th Year War, and American War of Independence. So this is most flexible one. Let's see Austria. In Austria we have 2 alliance spaces, but only 1 is occupied by Britain, so Britain gets another point. Yep. Then we have Bavaria. Bavaria is empty now. Then we have Denmark, Norway. I think Denmark, Norway is in the British hands. Dutch Republic is in the French hands. German states is 1-1, so we just give everybody 1 point. And Savoy is not controlled by anybody. So we tally the points. It's like 3 for British, and this would be 6 for French, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So in essence, we now need to look at the margin of victory. Here you have margin of victory. It's 3-4 margin of victory. So the winner will get 2 victory points and 1 conquest point, while the loser will get 2 TRPs, so 30 points. This is a really nice mechanic of actually balancing the game. It's not that winner takes it all. No, you have a balancing mechanism, and those TRPs will be very useful for British then to regain what they lost. First of all, 2 victory points to French, then 1 conquest point to French in a moment. First of all, 2 TRPs to British, so we have 30 points here. And the conquest points. How you can use the conquest points? The conquest points, it's actually very powerful kind of a mechanics, because this is the only way to get the territories. And the territories will be worth later on during the final scoring a lot. Each territory is a rectangle. Let's see the India territories, for example. It's a rectangle which has some color behind it, because it shows you who controlled the territory at the beginning of the game. And if you take the territory during the game and you hold it till the end of the game, you will get 2 points, 2 victory points. Now, how you can take the territory with this conquest points? First of all, the territory has to be physically in the region where the war was. So for Central Europe, of course, it can be territory from Europe, and in Europe you have Gibraltar and you have Minorca. And Gibraltar actually gives you the permanent advantage that it costs. It costs you 1 MP to move opposing squadron to navy box, and Minorca is a permanently, permanent prestige space, and they can be taken like this. Yeah, there is no restriction to that. In addition, you can also get some additional territories which are outside of Europe. In the case of Central Europe, it will be San Agustin. It's here in it's actually in Caribbean. It can be you can also take Asiento. Asiento is here. It gives you the 2 military points discount, and here you would have -1 to 1 flag in Caribbean. You can take also Hudson Bay. This is in North America here. And you can actually take also Acadia. Acadia, which is currently the territory owned by French. French won, so they can choose any of those territories. Remember, we play with the optional rule that whoever takes the territory from Spain, the opponent can actually shift a space in Spain. So what French will decide? They are pondering a couple of options, and they indeed would like to take one of the territories which are owned by Spain. It will be Asiento. They would like to mark it. But before doing this, let me just tell you a little more about those conquest lines, which you can see here. So this territory doesn't have any conquest line, so you can just simply take it. However, with this conquest point, you cannot take the territory with the conquest lines unless you have actually access to this. So you need to have a, for example, fort or other territory who are linked by the conquest line to desired territory. So you need to have a fort, naval space, or territory. Those 3 things allows you for conquest. So you can take a San Agustin because you actually have a territory nearby, San Domingue territory. But should there be no French flag here, you would not be allowed to this. So yeah, we take Asiento just for the purpose of the presentation. The strategic consideration whether it's worth or not, it's of secondary importance for now. So French take it, and because the Spanish territory was taken from them, so British has a leverage and can do a shift in Spain. Shift means they can flag the space or unflag a space. They prefer to flag a space. That actually finishes the Central Europe. French could actually use this conquest point also for other purposes, like for taking over market or for taking over fort, but you actually don't have markets or forts in Europe. You can also take naval space, but that's not the most efficient way of using this. Definitely there are better ways to spend this. Okay, second theater. We are moving to Spain now. So now it will go quicker, I think, because we know the basics, the mechanics. So in this theater, we see that the French has a possibility to unflag. They will most probably unflag Spain because they don't want to give too much advantage to British. And looking at the pure points, let me just clean it. The France has -1, and in this theater, the British have 4. Now, the bonus strength. When you look at the bonus strength, sometimes it is not the country, it can be also the word, the, let's say, feature of the ministers. When you look at the ministry cards, you will see that French actually has governance on the cardinal ministers, so they would get 1 more point in this war for exactly this. So they are getting 1 more point. Now, Sardinia, Spain, and squadrons. Sardinia is not controlled by anybody. There are no squadrons in Europe. And Spain has actually French. So French get 1 more point. In total, France will have 1 and Britain 4. So again, we have a margin of victory 3. And the spoils of war would be 1 VP and 1 CP to British and 2 TRP to French. Let's give them this. So 1 VP goes to British, 2 TRPs are going now to French, and this 1 conquest point, it could be used for the places here in Europe. So Gibraltar, Minorca would be the obvious choices, but you can also take San Agustin and Asiento. And you know what? This is a presentation of how to play, but it will be also a learning of strategy. So France won decisively the Central Europe and took the Spanish territory of Asiento, and lost space in Spain due to this, because the British were able to do a shift. Now with British, we take Asiento from the France, and we do not have this, let's say, minus that the France will be able to shift the space in Spain. This optional rule only works when you actually take from Spain, not from France or from Britain. So remember about it. That also means that this 2 construct squadron goes to British player main. So this is the second theater. Go to the third theater, North America, one of the most important theaters, especially later in the game. Okay, let's come here. So what situation do we have here? First of all, we need to look at the basic war ties. Let me put it here, so we can have it handy. In the basic war ties, you can see that both sides take 1 debt, and the French takes even 2 debt. So we'll give us that here. Sorry, too many windows open. So French takes 2 debt. I'm sorry for this. Undo. British 1 debt, French 2 debt. And now there is option for British forces to damage fort or to remove the squadron. What is better? In my opinion, it is always better to actually damage a fort. Removing the squadron from here to navy box, it's actually 1 military point gain, because the French can move this navy next turn for 1 military point back. But when you damage a fort, it will cost them more. So we will damage this Louisbourg, damage a fort. And in order to repair a fort, for an owner of fort, it costs you -1 the cost to flag it, so 2. And should British have access to this fort, for example via navy here, they can also repair this fort for the cost of +1 the cost to flag it, so it will be 4, and take it over. Very interesting mechanics. Of course, the damage 4 does not give bonus during the war. So we resolved the effects of the tiles. Yeah. So now we can go further and actually count the points. Let me give it here. The pure basic war tiles are as follow. This is 5 for France and only 2 for Britain. It might be that they will get their revenge for Spain. Now, let's look at the bonus strength. First of all, conflict markers. There is one conflict marker on British soil, so that's 1 more point for France. Now, we have forts. Only British forts are undamaged, one of them, so Britain takes 1 more fort, 1 more point. And squadrons. We have 1 each, so this is the situation. So in total, France has 8, Britain has 4. So this is margin of victory of 4 plus. It's a major victory for France, a really major victory for France. They have pretty many spoils of war. First of all, 1 VP and 2 TRP to the British. So, okay, 1 VP to French, 2 TRP to British. But what is more important, they are able now to unflag a market. You see, unflag 1 North America market. This unflag should not cause any other market to be isolated. So there are limited options where we can do it. We can actually unflag this market. This is cost of 3, so I think this is good. And then we have also 1 CP. This CP has 0 additional territories here, so it means that the territories only in North America can be used. So which territories we can conquer? There is this British territory here, but we have nothing with the conquest lines here. Assuming that we would have, we actually could then conquer this. We can conquer Hudson Bay, and of course can take forts or can take the markets from British. What I will do, and what I pretty often do, I will take the fort. This is actually pretty good deal, because the War of American Independence is one of the most important wars, and you want to be prepared for this. Now let's move to the Jacobite rebellion. So we actually go back to Europe. Let's see how does it look like. The Jacobite rebellion with that time will be more and more important war, because if British do not manage to quash this rebellion, the Jacobite uprising card can start giving more points. Yeah, actually, if you win as a French, you see France plays 1 Jacobite victory marker on turn track for winning 3+, and this one Jacobite victory marker gives additional points with Jacobite uprising. There are no war tiles specific actions. This will be pretty straightforward war. So we'll be just counting the bonuses. First of all, let me just clean it. France has 1 from war tiles. Britain has 1 from war tiles. Style. Style is again word connected to the ministry tiles. We have a look. There is nothing here, and there is nothing here, so no bonus for style. We go further. Dutch Republic. Dutch Republic, this is important theater in the First War of the Spanish Succession. If you look closely here, you will observe that it's actually counted both in Central Europe and in Jacobite Rebellion. Yeah? You have Dutch Republic, pretty powerful space. This space goes to France with 1 point now. That gives 1 point. Now, of course, Jacobites and the rebellions were mainly in the Britain, so Ireland and Scotland will count. They actually are controlled, the alliance spaces, one by British, one by France. So it goes like this. And conflict markers, we don't have any conflict markers, so it's like 1 point victory for France, and 1 point victory, margin of victory, gives 1 VP to French. That concludes our war turn. All conflicts which were used during the war turn, for example, that one in North America, will now be cleaned. In essence, French had a pretty nice victory in Central Europe, which was actually completely obliterated by the Spain victory of British and taking the territory, the Spanish territory back. The French also won the Queen's Hour War, and this can have a long-lasting consequences on the flow of the game. The Jacobites rebellion was a tiny but still victory for France. Okay, that's everything for today regarding the War Turn, part 3 of our How to Play Imperial Struggle series. I hope you enjoy it. If you did not see yet the part 1 and part 2, I really encourage you. In part 4, we'll be looking at some tips, tricks, strategies how to play Imperial Struggle, and in the part 5 of the series, I would like also to show you the most common errors. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. Bye.